everybody. How's everybody doing? Happy New Year. Sorry it's been a while since I put up a video. There's been a lot going on in my life. We lost another person. One of my nieces passed away from breast cancer. So I was not in the right headspace to make videos. You know, in a world right now, especially in the United States, where so much is going on, I didn't want to put more sadness or grief out in the world. But on the way this morning with my husband to go to my quarterly ALS clinic visit down in downtown Houston. So on the way, you know, the way the ALS clinics work is that you get in the morning. They don't take anybody past 10 a.m. usually at my clinic. And you see OT, PT, speech therapy, nutrition, social worker, you get labs done, you have RT and breathing tests done, and you see a physician or physicians. So it's a major stacked clinic day, and it's a blessing so you don't have to go every way to different doctors to get this all done. I did that originally before my insurance, when I first got diagnosed, didn't have an associated clinic. And being a retired nurse, a lot of times nurses have insurance tied to the hospital system they work with. And the system I worked with did not have an ALS clinic, though there are two in the city of Houston, which is probably fascinating. I'm with one that's Houston Methodist, which is awesome. I don't know, so it's kind of going through the year, you know, went through the holidays. We had a beautiful 12 days of Christmas. My husband and my daughter were off. My husband took about 2 weeks off, which was wonderful to have people with me. You know, that's when, at my stage of ALS, I don't need 24-hour monitoring. I'm okay to be, you know, alone for 8 hours. But, you know, with the way ALS works is it closes your world a little bit. You're not able to be out there. You know, I'm not able to work. I don't have the stamina to do it, nor can, as a nurse, I can't lift 50 pounds anymore. So, you know, it's like we lost a vehicle due to catalytic converters thieves. So I'm kind of trapped. But it's like, you know, I've been able to, you know, connect with people, talk on the phone, do Zooms, you know, advocacy, everything that I do. I'm not missing anything in life that way. It's just, it was really nice to have people with me. So my baby sister moved back to Houston, so I got to see 9 of my nieces and nephews. And on New Year's I saw 4 of them additional, and I have 8 sweet ones that I didn't see over the holidays, but you know, love crosses the distance. My mother-in-law was with us for Christmas, so we had Christmas Eve, which was nice. Somehow, gumption, I pulled out and was able to heat some stuff up. Not take the hot ham out of the oven. That is my husband's generous duties. But it was nice. I mean, it's just, you know, my second grandbaby was born, and she is so precious. She looks so much like my oldest daughter when she was a baby. Just precious. And my oldest granddaughter is turning 5 tomorrow. So life is so just a blessing. I'm so glad that I'm able to see my first 2 grandchildren. I'm able to be here. And my youngest is in 8th grade, second semester of 8th grade, so she'll be going to high school next year in our area. Exciting. She was putting in her plan to high school, so just kind of being there for everybody. I know it's not really exciting. ALS-wise, what's been going on? You know, the ALS is such a disease that it wraps your whole life. I choose not to see myself as ALS. I choose to see myself as who I am. My brown eyes, curly hair, it's wet right now, I washed it. You know, just to do that, but it affects everything. So you know, I have struggled, with grief and, with having less stamina and more fatigue. It has really struggled. The pain, it's under control right now with my palliative care. It's never going to take away all the pain as long as it takes the worst of it off, right? I just got to a point where the grief kind of opened up. There's grief about what you've lost in life with your abilities. There's grief about losing people. There's grief about, almost survivor guilt. I'm 6 years into surviving ALS. I have seen so many people that I have known, family members and others, because I have familial ALS, that have not survived. And it's like, rhyme or reason, I don't know why. I think it's a blessing that I'm still here. I'm very glad. I plan to still be here until my youngest is out of high school, if I have the option. But, I went and I, realized that I was having more symptoms of depression. So I went to my doctor and I actually started on Wellbutrin. And 3 weeks after starting it, I'm feeling a lot better. It's just, it's psychosocial. It's like I deal with, some of the ways I help with dealing with ALS is taking counseling. Woo! Houston has crazy drivers. But I have an excellent husband that drives very well. It's like, I don't think that if you are struggling with the diagnosis and you're in a dark place with it, don't be ashamed to access things that may help your mental status. Whether you need, antidepressant medicine, whether you need counseling. I can tell you that I have had counseling, basically for the past 5 years, and it has really made a difference in the way I am as a person. I've stretched myself with being able to be more present and less reactive, which is truly wonderful. So that's what's going on. Finally getting, got the most of the Christmas decorations down. The yard is not done. It's just honestly getting the Christmas trees undone and the snowmen out. My arms wouldn't lift up afterwards. I have a weird spastic form of ALS, mostly upper motor neuron. So one thing, I went and talked to one ancillary neurologist, and because I'm C9 or 72, that's my form of genetic ALS. It's 60% of familial ALS, generally are C9 people. But I asked what could help reduce inflammation. So apparently turmeric works on IL-10. So added some turmeric, and they apparently are looking at probiotics. So people with ALS don't have a normal gut biome. So there's going to be research into pre and pro and postbiotics for ALS people. So I started with seed, the 14-day one. It's about $30, and the seed was okay. I could feel a difference. It's double capsuled, so the outer capsule gets dissolved in the stomach, the inner capsule goes into the intestines. And seed was okay. And then I started Ritual, which, Christmas present. What can you get me? Get me some prebiotics. So I'm trying Ritual right now, which the ones Ritual has in the first capsule has a little bit of peppermint oil, and then it has the pre and post probiotics that go into your gut. Now, I had in late October, November, I had followed up. I was having just projectile vomiting, and that's another reason why I wasn't making as many videos. It's not pleasant to be in a miserable spot. Once again, not putting out that kind of negativity. So went and talked to the doctor, went and had an HED. They had the bile stuff that I was throwing up in my stomach. They suctioned it out. I have, they took samples. So apparently I have GERD-related esophagitis. I have a hiatal hernia. I have chronic gastritis. I've been put on Nexium, and they want me on a low-fiber diet with Finnegan as needed. Yeah, Zofran just didn't hold it. And honestly, even Finnegan, when it builds up, won't work it. So I had a motility testing, which, being a diabetic, also having ALS, not being as physically active, it can slow your motility. So my motility actually was normal. So whatever the nerve thing, it's not related to ALS. I'm a well-managed diabetic, so I don't believe I have gastroparesis, just one of those. But being on the probiotics, and I also add a little bit of benefibrine, it has kept me normal. So that's one thing also. For pain, I actually titrated off of gabapentin because of the studies. Gabapentin works for neurological pain pretty well. It was originally a seizure medicine, but it works well for neurological pain. But I was on scary high doses, 900 milligrams twice a day, and then 2100 milligrams at bedtime. Just huge amounts. So going down and then getting on, I'm on Lyrica, which is pre-GABA, which helps. I can't be on it too high because, it causes depression. So it's a side effect. So was it the depression, not only grief, disease, life, could have been also being on Lyrica. Fix one thing, 6 in a dozen, half in another, right? So, but I'm glad I'm off gabapentin. I honestly noticed that I was having the vomiting and, constipation, despite, that was terrible. Cities of Houston, that we have potholes, no tomorrow. But I noticed that being off of gabapentin, my guts turned more normal. So it's just, it's not something you can automatically quit. You have to titrate it, because even though they put me on a lower dose of the transfer of the Lyrica, and I threw up and had diarrhea, just horrible, for about 4 days getting off of gabapentin. But I'm off of it now, so I'm thankful. I mean, I don't have as much verbal it makes you almost not face it, but it really garbles your speech. At least it did for me. I've known several people that are friends that were on gabapentin that had that same problem. But it's nice to be able to clearly speak. And, so ALS-wise, I'm just, more fatigued. It's the time of year where